Okay.
Yeah.
It's recorded. So how you doing, brother?
For doing fine. What
Good,
about
good.
you?
I'm all right. I'm all right, man. So yeah, we were
So,
just talking, just
yeah.
talking about the current geopolitical situation and everything. But I want to pick back up on the conversation we had the last time we ended it, and we were talking about um communism and capitalism, and how they're both sort of rooted in, or partially rooted in, it's a rooted in the gospel, right? They're rooted in, it's rooted, the
Well,
political ideas are rooted in the
yeah.
gospel. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, not so much. I wouldn't say rooted. I would say like a consequence of or an anthropological result of a gospel-filled society, right? Like or like side effects, something
Mhm,
like that. You know?
mhm, mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
The I want to read this quote to you by Rene Girard. He's one of our favorites, man. So um I'm gonna read this quote, and then I want to see what you think about this. He says, this is from The Scapegoat. um, Different schools of political thought, no less than competing schools of criticism, are based on partial and biased adaptations of the gospel revelation. Our world is full of Christian heresies, i.e., divisions and portions. If the revelation is to be used as a weapon of divisive power and mimetic rivalry, it must first be divided. As long as it remains intact, it will be a force for peace. And only if it is fragmented can it be used in the service of war. Broken into pieces, it provides the opposing doubles with weapons that are vastly superior to what we would be avail- to what would be available in its absence.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what do you think about that? I mean, it. You know, I've heard the whole idea of like capitalism. I think even you said this is like capitalism focuses on a person not being bound to their condition, right? And Christianity talks about, like, a second birth, like you can be renewed, right? Like, even though you were born in a certain situation, right? You can be reborn or born again, right? Baptized, whatever. And so through that, you have upward mobility, and you know blessings and all of that, right? If you believe in Christ. And then communism or socialism is sort of a concern for people who don't have, right, or victims or what have you, right? So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, is capitalism and communism, in which ways specifically do they have certain, what did you say,
Christian
certain,
influence.
yeah, Christian influence? Because I think it's
Yeah.
hard to kind of really see that when if you don't really, if you don't know, you're not really going to tell, because you're just going to say, oh, this was politics regarding the Cold War. First it was Russia and the United States, now it's China and the United States, and whatever. So it's hard. I guess it's hard to see how China is is Christian at all. You know what I mean? Like with communism, right? It's hard to see how Wall Street, and entrepreneurship is Christian at all. Given, yeah. I'll let you explain, because it's just, I don't think people would um be able to see that offhand, right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you sort of described it correctly. There, it right in the beginning of when you start speaking. that capitalism grants you the freedom to select your profession, select your your path
mhm,
to earn a living,
mhm,
and to also move vertically, up or down in the social hierarchy.
mhm,
Whereas a much more pre-Christian traditional society would be like a caste system, right?
mhm,
Where
mhm,
if you are born into a particular family with a particular profession,
mhm,
you have to stick to that.
mhm,
You
mhm.
can't break out from that. Like if you're born into a warrior class, you have that's your profession
Yeah, your
from your
station.
birth. Yeah,
Mhm,
to become a soldier.
mhm,
So that's one example,
mhm, mhm,
and this created a hierarchy. This being stuck within your family profession, it
mhm.
made you stuck. It made you stick to a particular class in a hierarchy,
Right.
and then that hierarchy like the very nature of a hierarchy is there's some people at the top,
Yeah.
and then there's some people at the bottom. So
Right.
you're ranked based on your hierarchy. So if you're born into, let's say, a family who has always collected garbage,
Yeah.
like the lower caste
Yeah.
in India,
Yeah.
then that's your destiny. That's
Right.
what you're destined to do for the rest of your life.
Right.
And as a result of the nature of your job, you are down at the totem pole.
Mhm,
So that's and what Christianity did is, when Christianity started spreading in these cultures, in Europe, or let's say in other parts, like some parts of Asia, some
mhm,
parts of Africa, when Christianity started spreading and like totally saturating these cultures,
mhm,
the class system sort of like started to fade away, not
mhm,
overnight, but
mhm,
they started to fade away.
mhm.
uh, there were like a lot of clashes, violent clashes. There were like, in some places, like excuse me, in some places, like you see two places, like in Britain,
Mhm.
slavery was
Abolished.
non-violently abolished, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Non-violently.
okay.
And but in the US, there were like serious war
Right.
over that issue.
Right.
So like
Yeah.
in one way or another, you see these kinds of things started to fade away.
Yeah.
Even though some remnants of those things, those pre-Christian things, might still be there in
Mhm.
modern society, largely they have been relegated. Largely they have been done away with, to the
Okay.
point where you don't even you can't even be a proponent of those things, right? Like
Mhm,
even the so-called tough guy Nick Fuentes types,
mhm,
they
mhm.
can't be proponents of bringing slavery back. No
Right.
matter how much n-word you throw around, you
Yeah.
still can't get the cojones to be a proponent of slavery, because the
Right.
moment he does, his career is finished. What
Right.
following? So you see, like my point is, like, certain taboos have been done away with. So
Right.
that's like the effect. That's what capitalism has done.
Right.
Capitalism is like a side effect of that, is
Mhm.
that it allows you to move up or down on the totem pole based on how much how successful you are with your actual work. Whereas in primitive societies, it doesn't
Mhm.
matter how bad you are with your job or whatever, you still have to do it.
Right.
Nobody's going to promote you up higher
Right. Right.
caste because you're poor at collecting garbage. You still
Right.
have to collect garbage.
Right.
But
Right.
capitalism fixes that
Right.
with based on your merit, based on what your achievements are, so you can
Right.
go up and down and so forth.
Right.
And
Well, yeah.
yeah,
Well, I
no,
want
go
to.
on.
I want to say with that, that sort of like a, to play devil's advocate for capitalism, and then we can go into communism. But playing devil's advocate, some might say, well, but then there's also the sort of caveat that capitalism also would tell someone, if you are in a state of, if you're not, if you are poor, or you did, you don't, um have a job or whatever, it's not anybody else's fault but yours. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So there's that side too. They'll say, well, you know
Yeah.
nobody told you to do this, or nobody told you to do that. You should have, you should have been
Well,
thinking.
well, that's why, bro. Like that's why I prefer to call it a side effect of Christianity rather than rooted in Christianity. You get
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because
Okay.
if it was truly rooted in Christianity, then it wouldn't have that thing. That
Okay.
if you fail doing your job, you deserve to be poor. It would not
Right.
have that kind of mentality.
Right.
So this is where the, like, if you are familiar with the Hegelian dialectic, this is where communism steps comes in,
Okay.
right?
Now
So
now I know about Hegel, but I don't know about Hegel. You know what I'm saying?
no, forget the long theory of Hegel. Just stick with
Okay.
the dialectic. What's like
Okay.
the dialectic is thesis,
Hmm. Oh, thesis.
antithesis,
Uh-huh.
and
And synthesis.
synthesis, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So
Right.
capitalism is the thesis.
Right.
It has a problem. So yeah, communism is the antithesis,
Right.
and like the synthesis is whatever form it takes. Like in China, it could be different. In
Mhm.
Soviet Russia, it could be different,
Okay.
or in like with the Bernie Bros, it could be different.
Okay.
So here's where communism comes in.
Mhm.
Capitalism gives you that upward downward mobility, but
Mhm.
it fails to address that particular aspect, that all right, what if you are not successful in whatever profession you have chosen? What if you are not successful with that? Do you deserve to like not eat and just die? Like, is that what's supposed to happen? Or are you supposed to like be dependent entirely on the charity of some rich dude like Elon Musk or whatever? Like,
Right.
is that or is there like a much more, like, you see, the assumption is that Christianity has given every individual self-worth, right?
Right. The
And
dignity of the human person.
it so it gives you the conscience to not turn your head away when somebody is dying, some homeless guy is dying on the side of the street.
Right.
So if like, whether that person be atheist or whatever, if that person has a Christian conscience or ethic system,
Yeah.
that person will say, now there has to be some way we can figure something out for this guy. Like,
Right.
there's no way like we're going to allow people to starve in this day and age,
Yeah.
you
So,
know.
so it's sort of this urge to show compassion, right? Or
Yeah. Well,
altruism.
it's not even an it's like it's inbuilt into your system. It's
Right.
inbuilt into, there's no escaping it.
Right.
It's literally like, you
Eh,
can even say it's part of your biology now. That's your brain, through centuries of, like, through your ancestors, through centuries of Christian
Yeah.
saturation, Christian infiltration into the society. It
Okay.
has
Yeah.
totally reprogrammed your brain to the point where, I mean, look at the non-Christian societies, like the Middle East conflict with
Yeah.
the Gaza thing.
Right.
Uh, the state of Israel says, we have been attacked, we were the victimized, therefore we have the right to strike back, we have the right to defend ourselves. That's an argument from a position of a victim. And then
Uh,
you have the Gazans who are also presenting themselves as the victims.
right.
So both societies are not Christian.
Right.
Not
Right.
even, like, even though they have pockets of Christians amongst them, but largely, by and large, they're not Christian cultures, you
Right.
know, quote unquote. So, but
Right.
at the state, but Christian ethics has pervaded the world.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
just imagine how much more Christian people are in the West.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, you can't bear to see a homeless guy. That's a veteran. He
Right.
did service for the country.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
should be fed, or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's not like you want to show him compassion.
Right.
It's not like you have to find the desire to show that homeless person compassion. It's
Right.
like that's your default reaction as
right.
like it
But
automatically just is.
okay, let's so now let's turn to that. Let's turn to the whole thing in the Middle East, because what you said about these two, uh everybody likes to call them Abrahamic religions or whatever, but I'm gonna say religions of the book. Jews or Israel and Judaism, right? And the Islamic Arab world, right? They both see themselves as victims, as you said, right? They both say, well, we're the ones being tortured, we're the ones being treated wrong. Even even with non-Palestinians, with non, you know, with other Arabs, other Arabs would say, yeah, we are victims too, because we were colonized, right? Um, you know, uh, the what is it? The Declaration, the
Balfour, yeah.
Balfour Declaration,
Balfour Declaration, yeah.
right? The Balfour Declaration. The lying to the hash to the
Hashemites.
yeah, the Hashemites, the king of Jordan, and all of that. So there's resentment on both sides. There's a sense that what they're doing is righteous, and whatever. So I mean, I guess the thing is like, how can you? It's hard to know how this is right, because you feel bad for what happened to the Jews in Europe, right? But you also feel bad for what happened to the Arab world during colonialism and everything, and that leading to this clash that we have now, with with Palestine and Gaza. You know what I'm saying? And then and then leading into what we've got going on right now, which is this war with Iran. You know, and there's a part where it's like, yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad that all of this is taking place. And people are just the chaos, the violence, and the breakdown of communication. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just hard to really even know like where this is going, and what's the justification for it. You know what I mean? Is it simply because everybody's on victim mode? You know what I mean? Like everybody's on a victim mentality, and
They
they
are,
want to
yeah.
see the other one suffer. You know? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, you make perfect sense. Everybody, you were right. Everybody is in a victim mode, and that is the reason why there is no like this. All of this is not heading in a very good direction. It is
Mhm.
heading in a very Armageddon kind of direction.
Yeah.
And Jesus warned about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
With some people, like I think it's in the, I forgot which chapter it is, that the chapter where Jesus describes about where he says not one stone will be left on another, like
Mm.
many
Mhm.
people say like it has to be either or, like he's probably describing the destruction of Jerusalem,
Mhm.
or he's describing the end times. Which is it?
Okay.
So there are
Okay.
like two camps amongst Christians.
Mhm.
One believes like he's describing the end of Jerusalem,
Okay.
and another believe that he's describing the end of the world.
Okay. Okay.
So like and another part which believe that he's describing both actually.
Oh my.
And I'm one of them,
Okay.
because he does describe the destruction of Jerusalem,
Mhm.
and by the Roman army
Mhm.
totally wiping out, flattening Jerusalem.
Mhm. Mhm.
And but if you look closely in those texts, certain texts, like they're also applicable universally. They're applicable outside of that particular event as well. So this is Jesus. Like, he starts off saying these things
Mhm.
by saying, if only you had come to my if only you had come to me,
Mhm.
if only you had allowed me to gather you like a hen gathers her flock, like something like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And this is like we're seeing the outcome of all of that.
Yeah.
Like, this is not me just saying that, yeah, the world hasn't become Christian, that's why this is
Okay.
going on.
Yeah.
But this is because the world has failed to realize, even the so-called Christian countries, they have failed to realize what Jesus taught about
Okay.
forgiving your enemy,
Yeah.
loving your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
Even Christians don't understand that. Even
Yeah.
Christians, like, oh, Dios Walt, Pete Hexeth with the
Yeah.
tattoo and
Yeah.
everything. Like,
Right.
what the heck? Bro, like, what the heck? You're making us look bad. What are you
Yeah. They
doing?
want to go. They want to go on a crusade. But you know
Like,
what?
what the? But you
Yeah.
see what's happening. Like,
Yep.
you can't go on a crusade in this day and age,
Right.
because it was something like, it was a different story when you're shooting red Indians,
Right.
who don't
Right.
have muskets or anything. But
Right.
now those guys have ballistic intercontinental missiles. They will launch it straight up your what. So, like, what are you doing? Like, this is
Yeah.
not like this. the
Yeah.
world has the
Yeah.
world has changed so much
Yeah.
because of the technology and everything.
Yeah.
So you can't just go in there. The internet has made it if the Iraq war had taken place today,
Yeah.
with the live updates and everything we are getting,
Yeah.
the Iraq war would never have been able to take place today.
Mm.
It took Americans, it took those who were for the war in
Mhm.
Iraq. It took
Mhm.
them long time before they started realizing that damn thing, that entire thing was a mistake,
Yeah.
because there was no decentralized information
Right.
system back then. The
Right.
internet was a niche thing, like
Right.
a few nerdy guys were just using it or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now it's like everywhere. I was shocked, like, in the opening day of the Iran war,
Uh-huh.
like, just within a few hours, or within a few, probably within an hour,
Yeah.
I was able to see that a school was blown up in Iran.
Okay.
Like,
Right.
a lot of
The
girls
girls'
died
school. The girls' school.
already. Like, yeah, like, already people are started to realize this is one huge, big mistake,
Yeah.
like,
It's
this is a
chaos.
bad idea.
It's chaos.
So,
Yeah. Yep. It's
so
yep.
I forgot where I was going with this, but yeah, like that, it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different world. It's a whole
Yeah.
different
Well,
place.
yeah, it's a whole different place. I mean, so to kind of piggyback off of that, there's also the recent. I think I don't know if you saw this or not, but in the news they were talking about how, you know, what did they say? Here, let me see if I can find one of the articles. Um, it was about the. Oh man, what was it? Well, anyways, it was about the whole thing of like the how certain personnel in the military were telling military personnel that this war is being fought to usher in Christ,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah,
So that's
that's probably
yeah,
Pete Hexeth, yeah, or
right, and that's
somebody like that.
that speaks to your what you were saying, right? Where it's kind of like because there are Christians who believe that like they believe that the end time. But you see, here's the funny thing, man. People who talk like that from a Christian standpoint, it's it sounds the same way that a fanatic Muslim would think too,
Yeah,
because they both
exactly.
say the same thing. Early Muslims, the caliphates, they thought they were bringing the return of Christ,
Yeah,
you know, and and so what are they think they're it's like, well, we've got to fight against what is called radical Islam and everything, right? We're ushering in Christ by fighting radical Islam, and then Christ will come. Okay, so then there's the other side where it's like, well, if you don't support that way of thinking, or you don't support that idea, then one, you're anti-Western, like you don't believe in the West, you don't believe in protecting the West and stuff like that. And there's these arguments that'll say, well, Christ wasn't a pacifist, right? He wasn't a pacifist. So, if you're thinking that this is somehow not a Christian thing to do, then you're just wrong, right? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, yeah, Christ wasn't a pacifist, but he also did not. He did not. It's to me that sounds like something a trickster would say. And
Yeah,
I think you kind of alluded to that in one of your articles, right? It's
yeah,
deceptive, because you're telling somebody that if you don't comply with this, you're complicit in the not trying to bring the return of Jesus or something like that, which means you're
yeah,
not really a Christian, right?
yeah.
So
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 imagine like his I've told this to David too. He loved this.
mhm,
So
mhm,
imagine watching Star Wars. Okay,
mhm, mhm,
imagine watching Star Wars and the original trilogy. All right,
mhm,
the
mhm.
original, not the new stupid ones, but the
Okay.
original ones. All right.
Right.
Luke Skywalker is like all excited. He wants to go into war. He wants to avenge the death of his father. This
Mhm,
was before he found out that Darth Vader was his father. He
mhm.
starts off all like immature, all you know
Yeah,
crazy. Like
yeah.
he
Clumsy and
totally
everything.
clumsy and everything.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
wants to go into battle,
yeah,
and Obi-Wan has to quite like be calm, settle
mhm,
down, kid, for your
yeah,
complete your training first. And Yoda is also saying, settle down, kid,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he's always impulsive, he always wants to go to war. By
Right.
the third movie, Luke is like completely zen,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's in the force.
Right. A
And
true
to
Jedi.
like
A true Jedi.
yeah,
Right.
he's like a true Jedi, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's in the climactic scenes of the third movie, Return of the Jedi.
Mhm,
He's finally dueling with his dad,
mhm,
Darth
mhm,
Vader.
mhm,
They're having an epic lightsaber fight, this. But then the time comes to strike down Darth Vader.
mhm.
What does he do? No,
Yeah. Doesn't he like
this
walk
ends.
away? Yeah.
This ends
Okay.
here. This ends
Yeah. Yeah.
here, right?
Okay. Right.
So now imagine the complete opposite character arc.
Uh-huh.
That's how a lot of these Christians think.
Yeah.
Jesus starts off all zen, like love your enemies, this and that, right? But in Revelation, he's gonna go gung ho on you. Ta, 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 ta. He's gonna whoop your, ass and everything. He's
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
just
You
kick
can
you.
say it. Yeah. Yeah.
But what the heck? This is the most Quentin Tarantino would not even dream of this stuff.
Right.
This is totally retarded. I have
Yeah.
nowhere
Yeah.
no other word for it.
Yeah.
So that's how a lot of these, like I was reading some, like I wrote a Facebook post
Hmm.
about the non-violence of Christ,
Hmm.
how Christ lies down, like that's the message of crucifixion, right?
Right. Right.
Like he Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Right.
And he dies even for his enemies, he
Yeah.
dies for them.
Yeah.
And when Peter picks up a sword to strike and strikes the ear of Malchus,
Yeah.
Christ says, uh,
Those who
those who live by
yeah.
the sword shall
Yeah.
die by the sword,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah.
And Christ says, and also Christ says, do you not know I have legions of angels waiting to
Hmm.
fight on my behalf? He
Hmm.
still doesn't do that.
Hmm.
So a lot of Christians, like a lot of Christians, think that, oh no, that's to just to fulfill his mission. That was
Hmm.
just like a Manichaean kind of like plan. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna just be weaselly about this
Yeah.
until the crucifixion, I'm just going to be, doing weaseling my way into
Yeah.
like a politician,
Yeah.
like Trump, like when he campaigns, I'm
Yeah.
going to be like Trump. I'm going to say no wars, no forever
Right.
wars. But
Right.
when I take power, I'm gonna, in Book of Revelation, when I take power, I'm gonna whoop all of these people.
Right. Right.
You
That's
know,
the trickster.
that's
That's the trickster. That's the
that's
trickster, isn't it?
that's a pagan god, and I
Yep.
know because I used to be one.
Okay.
I
Yep.
used to be
Okay.
one. I
Yep.
can say I can see a pagan god coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
And some
Yeah.
of these people, like, oh, Jesus, they accuse you when they say, when you talk about non-violence of
Hmm.
Christ,
Hmm.
they accuse you of promoting a hippie Jesus.
Yep.
Like, tell
Yep.
me what's so hippie about
Yep.
dying on, being nailed to a cross and enduring unbearable pain? He
Yeah.
wasn't taking LSD on the cross. He was nailed to
Right.
the cross on
Right.
being tortured.
Right.
What's so hippie about that? Is
Right.
that me promoting a hippie Jesus?
Right. Right. Well, that, but see,
So,
and
yeah,
that's exactly the way it gets. That's exactly the way it gets portrayed. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you're somebody who says, I am a conservative and I believe in, conservative values socially, you cannot be someone who says that and at the same time says Christ tells us to lay down our arms, right? Christ suffered on the cross, right? Because I think for many conservatives, whether you're Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, or what have you, they see the suffering of Christ as just, it's just Easter time. You know what I mean? Like we're just gonna, bunnies and peeps and jelly beans and chicken, little chickens and everything. You know what I mean? And like, Christ died for our sins, and we believe that, and everything. But they don't really, when it's time, right, to like somebody's really getting on your nerves, right? And you're just like, man, I want to, like, I just want to knock this cat out, right? That's the time I think where you that's the part right there. It's like that moment when you're thinking about like just the, I don't know, whatever, the most violent shit you want to do to somebody. That's the moment where you have to take up the cross, right?
yeah,
That is hard. That is hard to do. You know what I'm saying? That is hard to do. And I think that's what a lot of Christians fail to realize. Like it is the hardest thing to let go and to forgive, you know? And what does Jesus say? He said, if you if you love your friend and hate your enemy, what benefit is that to you? Anybody can do that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But
yeah,
to love your enemy, they said that's the, I like to call it the narrow way. That's the narrow way, and that is hard to do, and that's why this is why it's pagan, right? But I understand why the Israelis are doing what they're doing, and I understand why the Iranians are doing what they're doing, because they're not Christian. And even Christians will revert back to that. We
yep,
everybody wants to go back to that mode. As soon as something happens to us, we're quick to be like, nope, I'm getting vengeance. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? I'm they did this to me, so I'm doing that to them. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking revenge. I'm whatever. And because they're honestly, man, I think theologically, both of those, because they're locked into, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say it. Those religions are locked into a cycle of violence, like tribal people in the past, right?
hmm,
The reciprocity that they have is one of violence, and that's because they're stuck in to me, they're stuck in a scriptural, like, you know, my tribe versus your tribe, my clan versus your clan on a bigger scale. and they're bringing us in with them because we're not paying attention to. It's crazy because it's like, dude, it's lit right now. This is the time. Everybody's fasting and
Yeah.
everything, right? And Christians are not even getting. It's not switching on to. It's not switching on. Because if Trump was really thinking about that, he would have said, I'm not getting into this.
Yeah.
We're not getting into this. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
If Rubio was smart, if not smart, but if they were truly Christian, they would have said, we're not getting involved.
Yeah.
We will not engage in this. We will mediate to the point of peace and nonviolence. And it's not cliche to say that, because that's the thing that a lot of people, a lot of these Fox News pundits and stuff like that want to, that's of course that's a cliche, like you said, it's a hippie thing to say and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the hippies get on my nerves too. I'm not gonna lie, they get on my nerves too, because for them it's about nonviolence, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it with a true understanding of.
They don't have skin in the game.
Yeah, exactly. That's, they don't have skin in the game. So I'm just like, man, this is such a complicated thing to happen. You know what I'm saying? And such a, it's such a chaotic thing to be happening right now. I mean, we've been through, I don't know how many wars in that region since the time we were born. We've seen this play out, when we were kids,
But here's the thing, like, it's good that you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, like, I'm old enough to remember coming out of the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole Iraq war thing happened, then Afghanistan, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was a time where Christianity really, like, in the culture, Christianity, the Christian message really failed to penetrate a lot of people's hearts.
Yep.
That was a time of the new atheists.
Okay. Yep.
So
Yep.
now here's the thing, like, what I'm really concerned about, at least one of the things that I'm really concerned about, like what happened after the turn of the century, during the 2000s, where like Christianity really took a back seat. And then, like, during the rise of Trump and everything, like MAGA and everything, coinciding with all of that, we had a kind of resurgence, growth in Christian churches. A lot of people started coming in, especially the traditional churches, right? A lot of people starts coming into the traditional churches and everything. Why? Because one of the reasons why they started coming into the traditional churches is because they were disillusioned by where culture had brought them, like where everything, where this so-called atheistic, materialistic culture, where it had all gotten them, to like total domestic chaos, international chaos and everything. It's just people at one time, they just want to log out of everything and they just want to get away from it all. So how do they want how do they want to get away from it all? By converting to Christianity, by living a life of liturgy, by living a life of the calendar of saints, like totally forsaking everything. Now again we are seeing these totally insane people, uh, so-called Christians in the current administration. These guys wanting to make this a crusade, the war with Iran a crusade. Where do you think that I was always predicting this? Don't be surprised if the pendulum swings back towards new atheist kind of shit all over again.
Right.
People start to leave churches again because they think that this is where Christianity leads to. Crusades and killing Muslims in the Middle East and getting ourselves killed for just a nonsensical thing.
Yep.
Like this is where it leads to.
Yep.
So it's all like crazy. It's like a pendulum swinging back and forth. And here
Yep.
we go again. Here we
Yep.
go again. You know, with the new atheists and with
Yep.
the Reddit atheist and with the anti-Christian bits in the late night talk shows. You
Yep.
know, targeting the Christians in the Bible belt or whatever. You know,
Yep.
like it's
And
all
the
going
meat.
to start again.
Yep. And this whole, you know, and that's interesting, man, that you're saying that, because you have, you know, not to be not to raise any kind of conspiracy, but it's like knowing that and because there has been a rise in especially young men joining traditional, you know, like Orthodox churches, right? Like Eastern Orthodox, Oriental Orthodox, Catholic, right? And even some of the mainline, you know, Protestant church, like, you know, Lutherans, Anglicans, whatever, you know, have not. And, you know, you're seeing that rise. And then it's like, okay, now here comes this thing about a holy war, you
Yep.
know? So I think there are factions of guys who go into these churches who are in favor of this, right? They think, oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay, you know, I'm
Christian nationalism.
yeah, okay,
That's
there we go.
Christian, the Christian nationalists, right?
Right, right,
Like Doug Wilson.
right.
Have you heard of him, Doug Wilson?
I have, and I actually like Doug Wilson, some of
Hmm.
his theology, but there are certain things that he says that I don't agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like one of those things is we have to fight Iran for Israel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things, and that's like prominent pastors or
Yep.
priests. Lots of Orthodox priests are for this. They
Yeah.
like, and this is one thing I don't like amongst is oh, you know, you boot camp style, you know, like that kind of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like first of all, we're not, Christians are not in boot camps, okay?
Right.
We're not
Right.
indoctrinated by a drill sergeant
Right.
to lose all empathy for human beings
Right.
so that we follow orders at all costs.
Right.
That's the purpose of being in a boot camp. That's
Right.
what they instill you. There's a reason why they shout curses at you in boot camp, and they
Mm.
they make you you know, like a killing machine basically.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
there's a movie called very famous movie called Full Metal Jacket.
Okay.
Full Metal Jacket.
Mhm.
That's like that's an excellent movie to, you know, break down this military culture.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, sleeping with your rifle, giving your rifle a
Mm.
name,
Mhm.
and you know, totally like punishing anybody who fails to do this obstacle course within this
Mm.
time or
Mhm.
whatever, shouting at everybody, insulting their moms and
Mhm.
dads, insulting their race,
Mhm.
insulting their, this all goes on in a boot camp by the drill
Mm.
sergeant.
Mm.
And many so-called idiotic pastors
Mhm.
in churches
Mhm.
say like, oh yeah, bring that kind of discipline into the church. Are
Mm.
you kidding me?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
The church is not for that. The church is not a place for hammering out your humanity.
Yeah.
It's a place for, it's a place for elevating your humanity.
Right.
It's a place for making your humanity complete in
Right.
Christ.
Right.
And
Right.
this is like when people started to come into these churches
Mhm.
with Trump, rise of MAGA, and all of that.
Mhm.
The clerics, the priesthood, and everybody, they didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
They had no idea at all.
Yeah.
They didn't know why people was coming into the church.
Right. Right.
They had no idea. They just thought it's like a fad or something. No, it's
Yeah.
not a fad. It's, they're coming here for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not a fad. It's not something that, you know, like it's not something like people all of a sudden started thinking it's cool or something,
Yeah.
you know.
They see it. It's kind of like the, you know, I don't know if this in the Bible or whatever, but I know it's kind of like a theological framing of like, you know, there's a ship or an ark, you know what I mean? And people are running to the ship. They're running to the ark. They're trying to get on the boat because they know what's going on right now is chaos. And
Yeah,
everybody, if you everybody's confused, everybody's confused, they're lost. And here's another thing I want to say this, just to put this in there. It doesn't matter if you vote Republican or Democrat. It's still chaos. The shit that happened 4 years ago with all this stuff going on here is just it's the same stuff that is happening now. And either one you choose is chaos. And I think that is the reason why so many people, you know, are trying to get on they're trying to get on the boat. They're trying to get on the ark, bro. And that's the church. They want to get in there because they know that the way things are going, whether this is apocalyptic or not, is confusing. And I mean, I guess it is apocalyptic in a sense because
yeah.
things are, you know, like when they talk about apocalypse, people always think, oh, that means the end of days. Well, it could mean that, but it can also mean like it's hidden. Things are not clear, you know, and so then, you know, with the apocalypse, things become more like you start to see things, you know, see what's really going on or something like that, you know. And so for me, I feel like, you know, liberals don't even try to take this as no win. Okay, don't try to take this as some kind of victory. You know what I mean? Because we don't want that shit that you brought either. You know what I mean? Neither one of these are good. And this is the thing.
Let-
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
well, on that thing, this is actually a perfect opportunity to pick up a point we had left kind of unfinished from
Mm-hmm.
the start of our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
How does communism come in? Where
Mm-hmm.
does communism come in? Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the capitalism, the failings of capitalism, we know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's if people are left aside, there's like no way to rescue them.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to rehabilitate them
Right.
uh, unless you have like big charities going on that takes care of everybody. That's just not possible for everybody.
Right.
Communism comes in and says, do away with this system altogether. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to look after the forgotten. We're going to look after the marginalized.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to look after people who have been left behind
Mm-hmm.
by the system.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how communism rises, right?
Right. Right.
By like in Tsarist Russia,
Mm-hmm.
the like this is like many people say like, oh no, they were not economically that bad or whatever, but it wasn't good. The
Right.
situation in the working with the labor camps and
Yeah.
everything, it wasn't
Yep.
good at all.
Yeah.
With rural areas,
Right. Right.
like they were just coming out of out of the serfdom system,
Right.
but things were still more or less like the same, right?
Right.
It was like slavery, by the way.
Right.
The serfdom system, it was very bad.
Right.
So things were not looking very good for the average laborer or the farmer, right? And so what communism did was they took advantage of that situation and they overthrew the system prior to
Yeah.
them.
Right.
How the liberals will come in the same way.
Yeah.
When the so-called Christian nationalists get them into completely useless wars, completely, like chaotic economic situation,
Mm-hmm.
like complete police state at home, with
Mm-hmm.
the surveillance and everything,
Mm-hmm.
addressing no problems at all.
Mm-hmm.
They make it they make it much more worse than it had been prior.
Mm-hmm.
The liberals will say, see, we told you guys, we told
Mm-hmm.
you guys
Right.
that orange dude is not good news.
Right.
See what happened.
Right.
This
Here-
is like a cycle where
Yep.
previous dudes fell, in comes the new dudes,
Right.
President AOC, and
Right.
then President AOC fails, We
right,
have Nick Fuentes, and then when Nick Fuentes fails,
right.
we have some other dude.
Yeah,
It's completely nonsensical, and it's all happening because people fail to see the anthropological truth
yeah.
about Jesus Christ.
Right, 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 right. And that's it's yeah, it's like this cycle, right? And it's like the trickster mentality, right? Like, you know, they think that but here, I don't understand why. If anything, this is what I want to say. If anything, that is the thing that Christian churches should be telling the people at the church. Like, do you not see what's going on?
Yep,
Do you not see what's
exactly.
going on? We've been through this already before. Look how much suffering it has caused. Don't play into the hands of these political machinations, whether they're on the left or the right, because this is the kind of stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, when Trump was in there going for presidency and stuff, and the campaign and all that, I was part of the zeitgeist. I was part of the zeitgeist. We all of us
No,
were.
like everybody was,
Yeah,
was at that time.
it's we thought that we because we believed that he would actually do what he said, right? But again, you think to yourself, how many politicians have actually done what they said? You know, now, you know, maybe there are, I mean, of course, there are some who tried to do what they set out to do, and everything. You can't put them all in a bunch, but the thing is that I think a lot of people just had a different. They had different expectations for this time. You know, they thought, okay, Trump learned how the deep state works. He learned how the DC works. you know, how he's been knowing how Wall Street works, right? So he will be able to um, maneuver these things or walk around them, right? But it's like then now we see he just kind of went right back to falling into John Bolton's hands. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah,
was he was railing against that dude. He didn't like him at all. And I'm like, now you're just
yeah.
doing exactly what he said.
Well, here's the thing, bro. Like he first of all, this is politically active Christians. They have to realize that these are human beings.
Yeah.
They are susceptible to being duped and
Mm,
brainwashed, just
yeah.
as any other guy.
Right.
And I don't know what happened with Trump. Some Mossad agent got to him, or some Epstein file shit, or I don't know what happened. I'm just
Yep.
speculating. I
That's
can just
another one. Yep.
your guess is as good as mine. That kind of situation.
Yeah.
So whatever the thing is, whatever he does, whatever he ends up doing, the
Hmm.
important thing is to realize, because of the crucifixion of Christ, we know this truth
Yeah.
is that do not scapegoat anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
The liberals are going to come to power because they will scapegoat Trump.
Hmm.
A lot of people are already started doing that. A
Hmm.
lot of
Hmm.
people have already started throwing this total train wreck at the
Hmm.
feet of Trump.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
if you scapegoat Trump, you're going to fall into the same old sky cycle again and
Hmm.
again and again.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the Christian way is, don't scapegoat, just focus on what you can change nearby. Focus
Yeah.
on bettering the lives of your locality, of
Right.
your neighborhood.
Right.
And
Right.
that's really, a lot of people can really do that.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people can really, like, people want to dream beyond what they are already capable of.
Right.
Like
Right.
you and me, Shannon, we can only do so much. You can
Yeah.
do stuff in Washington, I can do stuff in
Yeah.
India. I know
Yeah.
whatever. We can't
Yeah.
do anything beyond that unless
Yeah.
we somebody votes us into power, God forbid. But like and like it's like having
Yeah, man.
the ring from Lord of the Rings on your finger, like what,
I,
I don't want it, go away.
my precious.
Yeah, yeah, dude, like it really we do like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So like, oh my goodness. So we can only like, we're all having stuff to deal with our families, stuff like that.
yeah.
We have to be the best with what we have. We have to be the best Christians with in our own little place that we are living in right now.
Right.
So like, if we keep ourselves focused on that, if we
Hmm.
keep on bettering our own neighborhoods, our own families,
Hmm.
we will not lose focus on imitating Christ
Hmm.
that much.
Hmm.
But the moment we try to like be grandeur, we gotta scapegoat the king, we
Hmm.
gotta scapegoat the king, let's become part of the mob.
Hmm.
Then you're like totally entering Satan's domain.
Right,
Yes,
right.
but
And I'm not gonna lie. I have participated, right, in that, right.
we all do. Yeah.
You know, um, um, out of frustration, out of frustration with him and that administration, because you feel like you were let down, right? Not in the sense that, and it was never like a thing of, oh, well, Trump is going to do everything that I've been talking about. He's going to do everything that I've been saying he should do, and if he does that, he's my man. He's a guy. But
Yeah.
it was more it was more like, I guess to me it's just like, man, this is extreme. I mean, this is just extreme. And I'm like, you could have focused on so many other things that are happening right here in this country.
He should have focused on his own neighborhood.
That's it.
On his neighborhood was the United his neighborhood is the United States of
Yep.
America.
Yep.
That's why people voted him in. America first.
That's
We
it.
don't want nothing to do with anybody else, with Russia, China, whatever.
Yep.
We want you to fix the fentanyl addiction, the
Yep.
homelessness,
Yep.
all of
The,
that
the
crazy, crazy,
taxes,
the
the
taxes.
government, the family court system, like
Yep.
that's the stuff I want him to deal with. And I want to know why he refuses to deal with it. I feel like there's
But
a reason. There's
but family courts, bro. He himself has married so many times. Oh, but I get what you're saying.
I said that. I say it's more difficult to deal with that than it is, I guess, to deal with Iran, huh?
Yep. Like,
Man, but hey,
he
brother.
probably he probably has trouble with Melania as we speak.
Okay.
Who knows what's going on? Yeah,
He
or with
probably looked at
Ivanka.
them. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna just go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and deal with Iran. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But that's probably why he launched this entire war.
Right.
Like to get away from Melania. It's
Man.
crazy. Like old people should not be in
I'm
charge.
telling you, it's the boomers. It's the boomers, bro. It's like we always get back to this. It's the boomers. They, this, and it's like people. Of course, it's funny because it's like, yeah, we, it's crazy, but it's humor too, because it's like they have been doing shit for decades. Just the same stuff. The wars. Then comes the drugs. Then comes the family breakdown. Then comes the, you know what I'm saying? All this stuff. And this is like it. I'm telling you, it feels like the 60s all over again, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it feels like the
Yep.
60s all over again. But I want to make the case that it doesn't have to be, right? If
It doesn't
Christians
have
just
to be.
stop this whole thing to say we're not going to participate. We're not going to participate. And If you guys can't get it together, and because I think honestly, and I'll just say this, and I'll end my comments, but I really feel like this is the end of the boomer era. They Trump is the last. He will be the last boomer president. It's done. I
We're
mean,
gonna have AOC after this.
well, isn't she like a Gen Xer or a
Well, I
millennial?
mean, she's not a boomer, so
Yeah,
there you go. You know,
right.
like
So the boomers, I think they want to have their last hoorah. You know what I'm saying? They want to go
yeah,
out with a bang, bro. They want to leave. They want to leave us with. They want to leave us with bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's like if I can't if I can't take none of this with me, I'm gonna just blow it all up. you
But
know?
bro, here's the thing, like the like just to like let's say just to be fair to the boomers,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna like if we're not being careful,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to end up far worse than what they were involved in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing, like it all starts with knowing that you have the tendency to persecute the other guy. White people don't scapegoat the blacks.
Mm-hmm.
Black people don't scapegoat the whites.
Mm-hmm.
Jewish people don't scapegoat Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
Muslims don't scapegoat. It has to start from there.
Right.
Start from there. Don't scapegoat people.
Yeah.
Ultimately, don't scapegoat Trump. Don't
Right.
scapegoat anybody.
Right.
Like the moment you try to hot potato this thing onto another person, all
Yeah.
right, like, oh,
Yeah.
AOC will start saying, I didn't, this economy was given to me by the previous administration,
Right.
the Trump administration, I'm not to be blamed. And then the
Yeah.
person after, Nick Fuentes, will say, oh no, it's because of AOC I got this economic no.
Yeah.
And before that, like we are saying, it's because of the boomers.
Right.
Like regardless of what the boomers did,
Yeah.
we all have that tendency, bro. We all
Yeah.
have that tendency. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Tim Dillon, he said
Yeah.
he knows it. Like everybody, like but about here's the thing, like
Yeah.
we can progress. Like what we should learn from the mistakes the boomer generation made.
Right.
Like the boomer generation learned mistakes from the previous generation, we
Right.
can learn from what the mistakes they made. The mistakes they made was they refused to scapegoat.
Right.
We saw the Black Panthers, the
Mhm.
Weather Underground, all of these scapegoating groups coming up during that time, the KKK or
Right.
whatever, you
Right.
know,
Right.
all of these groups from the 60s, 70s, whatever, like
Yeah.
they knew what the problem was,
Yeah.
but their solution was like communism, like liberalism,
Right.
pass the buck, like
Ah.
it's because of Whitey over there, or
Yep.
it's because of the whatever, it's
Yep.
because of, and now we are like, just to illustrate, now we are in a generation where like, oh, it's because of the immigrants, or it's
Mhm.
because of the Muslims, or it's because of this and that.
Mhm.
This will not solve the problem, this will make it worse. Like
Mm.
if you target Abdul over there,
Mhm.
in his butcher shop, and
Mhm.
say, oh, it's because of you we're into this thing, or whatever, he's gonna say, bro, are you okay? I'm just halal, cutting my halal meat. What the heck
Right.
are you coming on to me for?
Yeah.
So like, this is stupid, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And this is what needs to be taught in churches.
Yeah.
That's my main point.
Yeah.
This is what needs to be taught in churches.
Mhm.
Why Jesus' sacrifice is important, what's the significance of it,
Mhm.
why, like it's not just because he's going to give you salvation or you can fly away or
Right.
whatever into
Right.
heaven. It's not just because of that. It's
Right.
because he intends to change the world, and he wants to use you as the instrument. He
Yeah.
wants to make peace.
Yeah.
That's why the veil in the temple was
Mhm.
torn away, because now everybody can come to God, not just the chosen people, the Gentiles too.
Yeah. Right.
That's reconciliation,
Right.
that's forgiveness.
Right.
Everybody, like now you are no longer Jew, Gentile. Now you are
Right.
no longer male, female. That's what this means. It
Yeah.
means you are now an image of God. You are now an imitator of Christ.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And we have to do we have to acknowledge the mea culpa, right? Like it's through my fault, right? It's through,
Yeah,
you know, yeah, that's what we say. It's through my
yeah,
own grievous fault. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Which
Forgive
is,
me, a sinner.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So, all right, brother. On that note, man, let's do it again, bro. These are always, it's always good to hear from you and glean knowledge and share back and forth, man. We
yeah.
have to keep this up.
Likewise, brother. Likewise.
All right, man. Stay in
All
there,
right,
bro. I'll talk to you
all right.
soon, bro. Okay.
Peace.
All right.